Hello friends, how are you today? Hope this finds you doing well. In today's video, we're going to be discussing an interesting and deep theme, and this is about the forgetfulness of some people, of human beings. The theme is they forgot God, their Savior. How is it possible that a people who witnessed such powerful miracles, the 10 plagues at Egypt, the pillar of fire during the day, during the night also there was another pillar, a people who saw God's hand at work in their lives could so quickly forget Him? And more importantly, what can we learn from their story? Let's find out. Today we're going to think about the Israelites. We try to imagine we are among them in that journey among the desert. And thousands of years ago, during the time when they were liberated from the slavery in Egypt, they walked a path full of challenges. No water, no food there. There was nothing in the desert. But perhaps the most surprising thing is how, after all they experienced, they forgot the one who had saved them, Jehovah God. The story begins with a terrified people. But why? Why were they so terrified? Let's find out at Exodus 14, 11, and 12. It reads, "They said to Moses, 'Is it because there are no burial places in Egypt that you have brought us here to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us by leading us out of Egypt? Is it not the very thing we told you in Egypt when we said, "Let us alone, so that we may serve the Egyptians"? For it's better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness.'" This is very significant. Probably we read this story many times, but this is a small and powerful detail. It's telling us that when the Israelites saw the Red Sea in front of them and the Egyptian army behind them, they saw no hope. And fear took hold of them, and instead of trusting God, they rebelled against Him. Why? Because they forgot everything God had done for them. They forgot how He had miraculously freed them from slavery in Egypt. They forgot the 10 plagues and His powerful finger and hand. Now, let's think for a moment about us. Sometimes, when we face problems as big as an impassable sea or an undefeatable army, we can fall into the same trap. Fear causes us to forget all the good things God has done in the past. The lesson is clear. Fear can cloud our vision and make us forget our blessings. But that wasn't all. When the Israelites were hungry and thirsty, instead of remembering how God had provided them before, they complained against Him. Let's read about it at Exodus 15:24 and try to imagine the scene. It reads, "So the people began to murmur against Moses, saying, 'What are we to drink?' 16:3. The Israelites kept saying to them, 'If only we had died by Jehovah's hand in the land of Egypt, while we were sitting by the pots of meat, while we were eating bread to satisfaction. Now you have brought us out into this wilderness to put His whole congregation to death by famine.'" Verse 8. Moses continued, "When Jehovah gives you meat to eat in the evening, And in the morning bread to satisfaction, you'll see that Jehovah has heard your murmurings, that you are murmuring against him. But who are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Jehovah. That was a big deal. What this shows us is that many times when we face scarcity or difficulties, our immediate reaction is not to trust that God will provide, but to complain, to become frustrated, to forget what He has already done. That's our nature. We are human beings. That doesn't mean that's okay. Doesn't this happen to us too? Has that ever happened to you before? When things don't go as we expected, or when life throws unexpected challenges our way, we tend to forget what we've already been given and focus only on what we lack. But just like the Israelites, we shouldn't let our troubles cause us to lose faith in God's goodness. And then we come to one of the most shocking moments, when the Israelites lost patience instead of continuing to trust in God's purpose. They did something surprising, something improper and unthinkable, something disloyal. Let's find out here at Exodus 32, verse 1. Meanwhile, the people saw that Moses was taking a long time coming down from the mountain, so the people gathered around Aaron and said to him, "Get up, make for us a God who will go ahead of us, because we don't know what has happened to this Moses, the man who led us up out of the land of Egypt." This act of idolatry happened when Moses, their leader, human leader, God's representative, went up Mount Sinai to receive God's law, God's instructions. The people, not seeing Moses return, felt abandoned. So they asked Aaron to make them a god, one they could see, one that would be with them in that moment of uncertainty. This one is one of the clearest examples of how the Israelites' faith depended more on Moses' visible presence than on their trust in God's power. There's the deal. Is our faith stronger when we can see someone or something that gives us security? Or is our faith based on the certainty that God is always with us, even when we don't see Him? It's really easy to say trust in God. The real challenge is when we are going through situations like we can see in this image, and apply by ourselves the advice of trusting in God. Let's think for a moment about this. When we feel alone, when the circumstances seem dark, when we don't see any answers, isn't it really easy to fall? Is not it really easy to fall into the trap of creating our own idols in our lives, like the Israelites did? Maybe we don't make golden statues, but we can certainly cling to things that give us a false sense of control, like money, fame, relationships, or even our own efforts. And in doing so, we forget the one who truly has the power to save and guide us, Jehovah. It's a reminder that although difficulties are real, the true solution is always to return to God, to trust in His purpose and not in our own temporary solutions or efforts. Dear friends, brothers and sisters, this story of the Israelites is a mirror to our own struggles. How many times have we forgotten God, our Savior, when circumstances change? Probably it happens to everybody. It's our nature. Of course, that doesn't mean that's okay, but how many times have we let fear, frustration, or impatience cloud our faith? But the lesson we can learn is this: our faith shouldn't depend on what we see or feel at a given moment. It should be based on a certainty that just as God never abandoned the Israelites in the desert, He'll never abandon us. Do you believe that's true? His faithfulness is unshakable. There is no doubt of it. So, today, we want to invite you to think for a moment, to reflect, where are you putting your trust? Do you let circumstances determine your faith? Or do you remember that your Savior is always by your side? Even when you can't see Him, true faith is not the kind that only trusts when everything is going well. True faith is the kind that stands firm even when it seems like everything is falling apart. And before I finish, I want to leave you with one of the last thoughts. Never forget that God is with you, not against you. Even when the darkness looms, even when it seems like the desert has no end, He is your Savior, your friend, your Father, and your God. Remember the times He has lifted you up, the moments when you've seen His hand at work in your life. Don't let fear or impatience rob you of that truth. Your faith must be rooted in Him, the only one who'll never fail you. Okay, friends, thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. If this talk has touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and share it. And remember, in the midst of any challenge, Jehovah will never forget you. Okay, friends, that's a wrap for this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful day. Be safe and see you in our next broadcast. Bye for now.